our final 7-minute speaker. This individual I've seen grow and grow, develop and mature over the last, God, it must be 7 years since we met, maybe longer. And that's Chris Ritson, now the CEO and co-founder of Flexprts. He's going to be talking about a critical part of the SDR function, which is SDR hiring and development plans, why most people get SDR hiring wrong, how to get it right, managing SDR expectations with promotions. We've all been there. Chris is co-founder and CEO of Flexprts, a consulting and training company that helps B2B businesses turn their SDR teams into 7-figure revenue streams. He's a 3-time global leader who has hired over 750 SDRs and built SDR teams that have contributed over 100 million of revenue. So that's significant.
Thanks, James. Is too kind, as always. Hey, folks. So Chris, as James said, co-founder, CEO, still feels weird to say that, to be honest. At Flexprts, we're a relatively new business. As James said, we're a consulting and training company that focus on helping SDR teams and SDR leaders get better. My background as a brief intro is I've run global SDR teams at 3 tech companies from seed to Series C, and then decided to go and fulfill my lifetime ambition, basically, of trying to build my own business and make it successful. So that's where I am today. What I want to talk to everyone about is SDR hiring and development plans. So my background, I know James said 750, but it's actually 250. But I've hired over 250 SDRs in my time, promoted over 50 SDRs, and those teams have generated over 100 million in ARR through the SDR teams. Sourcing meetings, sourcing qualified pipeline, which has been a journey, and I have messed up so many times and learned loads of things along the way. And with regards to hiring and development plans, I wanted to share a couple of those things today. But overall, my theory is that, and the biggest thing that I've learned actually along the way is 99% of our success is dependent on hiring and essentially having the right team in seat. It doesn't matter what tools we use, or it doesn't necessarily matter what process we're following. If we don't have the right team or the right players on the pitch, so to speak, then we're kind of doomed from the get-go. So hiring's mission critical. This is what I see, and I work, as I said, I work with SDR managers and SDR directors quite a lot. This is what I see most hiring managers not doing that I work with, and I'll do a little comparison. I love comparisons of sort of what I see most people doing and then what I'd advise. So I see most hiring managers that I work with, like we typically they give sourcing, or 100% of sourcing talent, to the talent team internally, or to the recruitment agent or recruitment consultant. I want to encourage people to do some of that sourcing themselves, or as a minimum partner with the internal talent team to split that workload. It's mission critical that you get the right team in seat, and the person who knows that profile the best is actually you as the leader in the team. So rather than outsourcing it, make sure that you split that between yourself and the talent team. You should always ultimately be recruiting is a phrase that I follow pretty heavily. Don't prioritize. A lot of managers, they don't prioritize interviews in their calendar. So I see if you've got a candidate and your internal talent person saying they can interview tomorrow and your diary's full for tomorrow, a lot of people say, oh no, can we do Friday or Monday? Have a look at your calendar, remove whatever is the lowest priority there, or move it around and get that interview in. The faster you can get someone in, the quicker you can show them how amazing it is to work with you. people feel the love through speed a lot of the time, and that's what they want. So make sure you find time in your calendar, and that doesn't need to be outside of hours. It's just a case of being a bit more brutal with your prioritization. But interviews for me are always number one thing when I'm actively hiring outside of one-to-ones with my existing reps. Third thing, a lot of people, they don't pre-message the candidate. This for me, it's kind of like running a discovery call, right? So I like to message prospects, but I also like to message candidates before the interview to get them excited about meeting me. They don't know me, I don't know them, but it's important for me to set a great first impression with them even before they've jumped into that interview with me. That this is something that they should be excited about, and maybe even a little bit nervous about, right? That's a good feeling to have before an interview, because it shows you care. A lot of people they're not prepared for the interview as well. So we bounce into interviews a lot, in back-to-back meetings. For me, it's like having a set structure for how you want to interview keeps your interviews fair and the structure fair. But it also means that you're practicing the same skill of how to interview and therefore getting better at it as an interviewer. Interviewing is a skill that you'll acquire over a period of time and practice, but having a structure, much like having a structure for a discovery call or qualification call or a cold call, will help you get better at that skill as a hiring manager, whilst balancing keeping it fair for the person on the other side of the table or the Zoom room. We ask a lot of basic questions in interviews. So when I'm a fly on the wall and observing interviews, I see a lot of basic questions just to fill time. What I mean by that example could be like, have you cold called before? Answer, yes. Okay, tick, they can cold call. That for me wouldn't qualify someone as being able to cold call just because they've done it before. I'll give you an example of how I do it in just a second. And the final bit, and this is probably my favorite bit actually, is the follow-up after the interview. A lot of hiring managers, because we're in a position of power, we don't do the follow-up, we let talent do that. If I love someone, I know that they're great, or I feel like they're great, they're probably going to be interviewing a lot of other places. I'm going to jump straight on calling them or WhatsApping them straight after the interview to tell them, hey, I'm going to go above and beyond internally today to try and get you to the next stage as quickly as possible. We love you. We want you in the team, etc. The humans buy from humans, not just buying tech, right? But they're also buying their next opportunity in their career. They want to, when they're evaluating you as a business, they're evaluating you as a hiring manager and whether they can work for you or feel the love from you, feel whether they can be supported and guided and managed correctly by you. This is a great opportunity for you to showcase that immediately when their emotions are heightened just after an interview, when they're thinking about your business right now. It's a great way to sell, basically, and sell the opportunity. So what do top hiring managers do? They work with talent. They work with talent properly. They partner with talent. Prioritize interviews over everything, right? Apart from one-to-ones internally. Always warming up the candidate. We're preparing the interview like it's a customer call, showing them love. There's got to be a structure for it. We're asking situational questions in those interviews. So rather than have you can't have you cold called, it might be something along the lines of, okay, when you're cold calling enterprise accounts, can you run me through what the process and what your script looks like? That would be an example of like a situational question. Or how have you approached cold calling? Run me through how you approach cold calling to a VP of sales. That would be another example. Really dig into getting them to show you that they really do have that skill set, using situations, and often other things like unfair questions can be a great way to draw out the values of an individual, right? Unfair question, right? You've got, it's the end of quarter, you've already hit your target, you could get an extra bonus for getting one more meeting, but there's someone on your team who is one off target. You've just booked a meeting. What do? Do you get your extra bonus, or do you give it to the teammate to hit their number? It's a great way of drawing people's values out by asking them something that's unfair, because it's a win-win scenario. They've got to choose. The final bit is always follow up immediately after the interview. If you love someone. Final bit and a bit of a bonus, development plans. We all know it is so difficult to manage SDR expectations in terms of getting promoted. We're hiring ambitious people. That's a great thing. We want them to move through the ranks, right? How do I do that? Or how have I historically done that? So everyone knows where everyone is at any point. The business knows where the SDR is. I know where the SDR is. The SDR knows where they are. Stage one, ramp up. Job, just ramp up and prove to the business you can ramp up. Communicate that to the rep. Stage two, consistency. All I want to see is you being consistent and hitting your number month over month. That will unlock the fact that you can move to stage three, which is acceleration, which is where we will give you or work with you on the skills that you need to acquire to move into your next role, whether that is an AE, CSM, marketing, whatever that is. But that will help you manage their expectations, because just saying consistency to someone, that's subjective to that rep. Consistency might be 2 months in a row in their mind, but it might be 6 months to you. So be very, very explicit with what you expect in each stage, and this will help you manage not just their expectations, but also a leader's expectations when they come calling to hire SDRs internally. I would always just push back and say, look, I've got no one in acceleration yet. They need to prove that they can be consistent before they go in interview for AE roles or CSM roles. So that's like a little bit of a bonus. Ask me more about that if you like. How I typically help, or I can help you in 3 ways. Follow on LinkedIn tips and tricks. I post a lot. Subscribe to my newsletter. It comes out in April on how to build SDR teams. It's specifically for SDR leaders and sales leaders. And then there's also my business runs an SDR leader training program, which is specifically through me, or I would be your coach. That's how I help. And thank you very much.